Hey, what's going on? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today I am here to talk about specific sports. Today we're going to be focusing on soccer. Like I promised last week, we're still in the athleticism portion of our whole segment, but we're going to be talking about specific sports and what you need to strengthen in that sport. So, like I said, it's going to be a lot of fun. Today we are talking about soccer, so let's get into it. Now, we all know that soccer is a very exhausting sport. If you are not good cardiovascularly, you're gonna suffer in that sport. But we're not here to talk about your cardiovascular system or your lungs. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk specifically about your muscles and the muscles that you need to perform well in this sport. So the first thing we're gonna talk about, because it's soccer, is kicking. When you are kicking, two muscles are involved. Well, what the primary muscles? So we have your hip flexors, all right, your iliopsoas, and we have your other hip flexors, which is your rectus femoris, and then we also have your quad muscles. Now, rectus femoris is part of your quad muscles, and then we have the other other three. All right. So these are the main muscles when it comes to kicking. Now, when it comes to your actual stance for the kick, the thing that supports your whole system, you guys already know. Come on, it's your transverse, okay? It's your transverse, but because you're turning, you got your obliques in there as well. You turn, it's almost like throwing a football, because you use your torso as the propeller and your hips. So in this case, you're gonna use your hips as propellant, but the thing that's actually swinging is your thigh. So, as you guys can't see me actually kicking, but I'm doing the upper body motion. Okay, so the thing that's actually putting that force into the ball is the hip twist, planting of the foot, and the swing, and the follow through. Now, all that happens with your transverse stabilizing your hips, your glutes stabilizing and applying force with the push. And then we have your hip flexors coming through with the powerful swing from the back. And then your quad extends the knee to give that extra oomph. Okay? So I'll say it again. On your screen, you'll see all the muscles involved. You have your transverse. Your transverse holds everything in place, while the hip muscles, the glutes, all right, holds everything when it comes to glutes in place as you are turning. So it gives that propulsion as you turn, okay? And then we have your obliques, which helps turn the torso with force. And then we have our hip flexors, which lifts our thigh from the back position to the forward position. And we have our quads that extends to give that extra oomph to the ball, all right? It's just like our triceps that gives an extra oomph to the throw. The same thing, all right? So these are the muscles that you need to be focusing on. Now, how do we focus on these muscles? For the glutes, when it comes to this movement, you can do glute bridges. Glute bridges is a great way to activate the glutes and make sure that they can stabilize quite well when they need to, all right? And the second exercise that I would put into here is the leg extension. Now, the quads, if you look at the quads and look at how they're attached, the quad only does one thing, and that's extend the knee. Guess what exercise does that? That's right. It is the leg extension. That's literally that's the only exercise that is primarily focusing on the quads. Squats focus on the quads, but it also focuses on the other muscles. That's what's called a compound movement. But the leg extension does primarily what the quads are supposed to do. So do leg extension for the quads. If your core is not strong enough, this whole system that I talked about, all the movement that goes together, it won't work that well. You look wonky, you look trash, you won't be able to completely utilize the energy efficiency. Because when you turn, you're doing all that. If you don't have a strong base where it can transfer all that force into the right direction, a lot of that energy is gonna be wasted. So don't kid yourself. The thing that brings all this together is your transverse, okay? So let's make sure we prioritize the transverse, and I've done many exercises for that as well. And the exercise that I'm gonna show you today is the same exercise I show you every single time, which is isometric leg lifts, okay? Or 6 inches if you wanna call it. And the final muscle for kicking is your hip flexor. If you guys ever heard of knee lifts, it's a very simple exercise. You just lift your knees up. But you don't lift it up, you lift it forward. So it's more of a forward action than an up action, okay? Because when you're kicking, you're bringing your leg from the back to the front in a forward progression. If you do an uplift, focusing on going up, you're gonna lose a lot of your actual power. All right, so make sure when you're doing the exercise, you focus on going forward. So these are the exercises you need to focus on if you want to be a better soccer player, when it comes to kicking anyway. Now, if you have any questions, please put it down below. Put down below. I would love to hear your questions. I would love to hear what you guys think. But please subscribe, like, and share. Share this with your soccer friends. Share this with your athletes, because what we talked about in here, a lot of sports need it. The muscles we talked about, a lot of sports need it. That's just what we use. Our body is pretty efficient in doing multiple tasks. So let's dive deep, guys. Let's get more athletic, and let's prove to the world that we can be much better than we are now. All right, Ultimate Self, out.